ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದಾರ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ.
ಯಾರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
I request all the participants to kindly mute your audio. We'll start the session in few minutes. Chinmay sir, are we good to go?
Yes. We can start.
Thank you, sir. Jai Gurudev to everyone who have joined us today. A cheerful morning to all, to yet another deep dive session on the implementation of National Education Policy 2020. It is with immense delight that I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speakers for today. We have with us Professor Rishikesh, Associate Director, School of Education, Azim Premji University, Dr. Prasad, Senior Lecturer, DIET, Shivamogga, Srimati Mamatha Ravi Prakash, Founding Principal, SSRVM Bangalore North. And it is also my honor and privilege to welcome our Trustee, Srimati Jaina Desai. Namaste, Jaina ji, and greetings, and thank you for joining us today. SSRVM Trust organizes deep dive online sessions every month that extensively explore various subjects influencing the future of education. Established in 1999 by the celebrated humanitarian and spiritual leader Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, the Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir Trust functions as the educational wing of the art of living, with a widespread presence encompassing over 100 institutions across the nation, including Sri Sri University in Odisha, Ayurveda colleges, Ayurveda hospitals, nursing colleges, and having set foot in countries abroad, SSRVM remains dedicated to nurturing and empowering the youth for a promising tomorrow. So that's a concise introduction elucidating who we are. Once again, it is my distinct pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you who have joined us through Facebook and YouTube and all other social media platforms to this enriching webinar on the implementation of NEP 2020. Your presence is greatly appreciated. So without any further ado, let's dive in to our topic for discussion. As we all are aware, that NEP 2020 envisions an education system that is not confined to the four walls of a classroom, but one that extends into every corner of our lives, fostering critical thinking, creativity, and a lifelong love for learning. It calls for a departure from the rote memorization that has often dominated our classrooms, urging us to embrace experiential and interactive modes of learning. So at this juncture, as we stand at the crossroads of implementing the National Education Policy, a multitude of questions beckon our attention. How can we effectively integrate this multidisciplinary approach to learning into our curriculum, What role does technology play in ensuring equitable access to quality education across the nation? How do we strike the balance between tradition and modernity in the context of education? So questions like this are rising into our minds. So in this dynamic and insightful webinar, we are certain that with the expertise of all our speakers who have joined us today, who have been at the forefront of shaping educational policies, we shall delve into the key features of NEP, the challenges and opportunities, the role of the stakeholders, and the best practices for implementing NEP at the school level. So with this thought, may I now invite our first speaker, Professor Rishikesh. Mr. Rishikesh is a professor and associate director at the School of Education, Azim Premji University. He has 25 years of research and teaching experience, 18 years of which has been at Azim Premji Foundation. He has worked closely with Dr. K. Kasurirangan Committee, which scripted the draft of National Education Policy 2019. Subsequently, he has been a member of 2 subcommittees which provided the inputs for the implementation of NEP 2020 in school and higher education to the government of Karnataka. He is currently a member of the NEP Implementation Task Force in Karnataka and of the Technical Secretariat to the Steering Committee for drafting the National Curriculum Framework. Sir, thank you for joining us today. And over to you to share your perspectives on the implementation of NEP 2020 at the school level. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Agniji and Jaina ma'am, everyone else at SSRVM Trust for having me over, and I think for organizing a very important deep dive on a topic such as NEP implementation. It's now been a little over 2 years since the policy was accepted by the government. And I think a lot of places we are at different stages of implementation. One thing which I would like to share with everyone here is an answer to a question I very regularly get asked. And it's many times when I meet people or even in webinars, one of the questions that comes out almost without fail is, when will NEP get implemented? For those of you who have read the NEP, you know the answer. And the answer is as simple as, whenever you want to, because many people who are doing good education would already be implementing a lot of what NEP is saying. So what, in short, it tells is that NEP is not bringing about a new thing in every aspect of school education or higher education, but NEP is talking about what does it mean to do good education, be it in the school education space or higher education space. So wherever good education is happening, NEP is already being implemented. And I think that is really the first message that everyone need to know. NEP talks about various provisions. By looking at which of those provisions which we already have in place would mean that we are already implementing NEP. Many schools were implementing NEP far before even the task of writing NEP began. For instance, a simple thing, which is a very, very critical aspect of NEP, but which is done across our country in many centers, is play-based pedagogy for the early years particularly. Not that the play-based pedagogy should go away completely as children move up, but then play-based pedagogy is very critical in the early years. And many earlier learning centers, it could be formal schools, it could be just informal centers where children gather, but play-based pedagogy is the core of these learning environments. And that is precisely what NEP is saying everyone should be doing. And why is NEP saying that? Because play-based pedagogy is something that research has now told us again and again is the best way that young children learn. Young children will not learn as well when we put them in a classroom, put them on benches, put a teacher in front, even however good the teacher may be, and just tell them things. The way we, for instance, also do trainings, wherein we just tell things, wherein a set of things are given and one is trained to ensure that those set of things that are given are adopted or implemented, right? But that's not the way anyone can learn. So it's, in fact, NEP also goes on to say that we should not even do teacher training the way we are doing. We're all human beings. We are capable of developing ourselves. So NEP, when it talks about ensuring that there is a development happening for adults who are engaged in education, it talks about continuous professional development and not the way we have looked at development in the narrow sense of teacher training. And so coming back to the early years and talking about child-based appropriate curriculum and pedagogy, NEP invests or emphasizes a lot on what is most suitable for children. And this is what research has been telling us, let's say for about 20, 25 years now, because it is since then that we've had a lot of work that has happened in the fields of neuroscience, in the field of child psychology, right? And overall in terms of developmental psychology, wherein a lot of research has happened on the way our brain develops, on the way our brain works. And these are things that ancient and well-developed cultures and civilizations such as ours have put into practice through various modes. So many things that, let's say, the most recent neuroscience research would be saying is something that would be a norm in our society. It would be practiced. For instance, a grandmother in an Indian situation is someone who's looked up to for entertaining stories that children would go and listen to, right? Now, this is part of our culture. What research is saying is that is precisely the way children learn. So it shouldn't just be an informal setting where a grandmother tells stories, but everyone surrounding the children, including the teachers, should be telling them stories. It is through stories that children learn best. And with stories comes play. It is through that play that children learn best, right? So these are the kinds of things that NEP is talking about, which is completely backed by research and which is also in practice. These are the two things that I would like to emphasize. Moving on from the early years, the way we should engage with children, very different, in fact, from the way that many of our schools engage with children, right? Many of our schools focus on literacy and numeracy at a very early age. And what have we led ourselves into? By trying to teach the Aksharmalas, the Varnamalas, the alphabet, the number systems very early, we have got ourselves into a situation wherein across the country, if you look at the ratio, the percentage of children who can read and write at their grade level, it is less than 50%, almost at any grade, all the way up to 8th grade. In fact, so much so that in 5th grade, there is less than 50% of children who can read a 2nd grade textbook, right? So that is the kind of data that we are getting continuously now for almost 10 to 15 years. And this is by trying to do literacy and numeracy at an early age, right? So we've not even achieved literacy and numeracy for half our children, even in grade 5. And in fact, the number doesn't change too much even at grade 8. And so you can imagine what we have done with the lives of these children, that in 8th standard, they cannot read and write. What else then can you do with these children? Then this is a large number of children. When we are saying half of our children are unable to read and write, and so most of them will not be able to really contribute by staying or getting education because their foundation is so weak. And we're talking of numbers like 100, 150 million. I mean, these are sizes of an entire population. And if that is the way we are preparing our children for the future, which many say India would be leading, then wonder as to what's going to happen. So NEP now starts tackling these issues one by one. So in the foundational stage, in the early years, literacy and numeracy, the way it is done now is not the way to engage with teacher. We should go with research. We should get them to play a lot. We should get their curiosity, which is naturally there, to be entertained, to be encouraged. We should give them experiences. Experiential learning should be the key way that children learn. And then foundation literacy and numeracy is important. So that's really where NEP comes in and says that for many children who already are in school, who have not got the right kind of foundational stage education or pre-primary education, we need to get onto a mission to ensure that they are able to read and write. And when you say read and write, obviously understanding is coupled with reading. Reading with understanding is reading. If you just read and then the next question you can't answer of what you've read, then that's no reading. There's no point in that reading, right? So NEP hence says that we have to ensure for children who are already there that they can read and write and they can do simple mathematics, simple basic arithmetic. It's only then that it makes sense for them to go ahead. Otherwise, we are wasting their time in school. There's absolutely no point. So it has to be on a mission mode because these are children who have not got pre-primary. So we have to forget everything else and ensure that by the time a child is in grade 3, the child is able to read and write. Only then does it make sense. So now how do we do this? When we're talking of implementation, let's just stick to this because there are many other things that come in, which is about assessment reforms and things like that, which we can take up later. And I'm sure the other guests here on the panel would be able to also share. But what is it and how is it that we fix the foundation? And for that, when we are talking of implementation, one is for us to completely have this agreement that the way we have to engage with children is to change, right? And we have to do it in the way that it is being done in good places. I'm sure many of SSVRM schools would be doing it in this way of telling children stories and asking questions and getting them to go out there and discover in that small little garden. Right. And that's the way everyone should be doing. So what do we do? How do we ensure everybody does that? Every single school. No school becomes a factory. No school which is already a factory remains a factory. The factories have to be demolished. One of the ways is by having these kinds of deep dives, inviting a lot of people and showcasing. So for instance, if SSVRM school has this beautiful classroom where children are exploring and learning, showcasing that to the rest of the country and saying that, look at our children, they are learning. And this is the kind of learning. It's not about how many numbers or digits can I recite or how many rhymes can I recite, because that's basically what a parrot can do, right? You can train a parrot to do exactly what we spend years and months together to get our children to do. That's not education. So showcasing what is true education is one real way of implementing it. Two, joining the mission that the government these days over the last year or so is coming up, because all the missions, all the programs that the government is coming up, the Ministry of Education, which then is requesting various state governments to take up, is to ensure that literacy and numeracy falls into place. Once these two happens, then you can go on to build concepts to work on those various fascinating ideas that children should learn, because it is on that then they can go on to do various researches and learn more. That comes subsequently. If we do not do the first step and the second step, then as I've said, there is not really much point in going ahead. I'm not going to go on to the other things that I would like to share here, because I think it would be nice in a discussion like this for every member in the panel to come in with their key points, and then maybe we can take up other things as well. Thank you for having me up first.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That was a revolutionary talk, I would say, to give us a clear picture of the current, status of education in India. And, thank you for bringing in the ACER report, Annual Status of Education report, which also highlights the differences that exist between the grade level and the skills that the students, our children, have acquired so far. And, we also understand that the importance must be given at the foundation level, as you had, highlighted when it comes to the implementation, that we have to first, the way we engage students should be changed. And our primary importance should lay on improving the numeracy and literacy level of the students at the primary level. Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening session. We now move on to our next speaker, Srimati Mamatha Ravi Prakash. Srimati Mamatha Ravi Prakash, whose dedication to the field since 1986 has been nothing short of remarkable. As the founding principal of C.C. Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir, Bangalore North, and a prominent SSRVM Trust Academic Council member, her influence on education is profound. With a background as an accomplished science teacher, her career flourished in KV and international schools across continents. Introduced to the art of living in 1999, she intertwined its principles with education upon returning to India in 2002. Under the visionary leadership, SSRVM Bangalore North thrived, boasting over 2,000 students, exceptional CBSE results, and recognition as a high-performing school. Honored as one of India's top 100 principals, she is also a dedicated teacher trainer, an adept meditator, and a beacon of holistic education. Ma'am, it's an honor to listen to your thoughts on NEP 2020 with a special focus on foundation literacy and numeracy. And as our previous speaker highlighted, I think you could also tell us how we at SSRVM follow the educational principles of our Gurudev, which aligns with the principle of NEP 2020. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Agni sir, for that introduction. And it was wonderful listening to you, Rishikesh ji. It was such a deep insight into what NEP is actually about. You know, like, as you said, we would have read a lot about what NEP is all about, the theoretical aspect of it. But you gave us such a lovely insight of what exactly NEP implementation is all about. And your focus was more on all those schools which are yet to implement NEP. As you rightly said, there are many organizations which have been following and implementing NEP, even before it was drafted, as you rightly said. And this is something, there's such a beautiful revolution in the field of education. And as you rightly said, through such seminars, we need to ensure that everybody, all the organizations, implement it in the right spirit, because this, as I said, is a revolution in the field of education. Yeah, July 29th, 2020, when the world was battling the pandemic, suddenly the NEP was launched, and it was, mixed reactions to NEP from various stakeholders. But we at SSRVM welcomed it with a big smile and joy. Yes. Now, SSRVM is stepping into its 25th year, exactly 2 weeks from today. Yes. And for almost quarter of a century, we have been imparting value-based, experiential, joyful learning to the students. And how have we achieved it? It's all because of the pedagogy and the vision statement that's come to us from none other than the global and humanitarian leader, Puja Gurudev, His Holiness Puja Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. Chinmay, can we have the presentation, please? Yeah. So, like the pedagogy, to put it in short, is this very, very comprehensive statement by Gurudev. An educated person has concepts as solid as the earth to receive information from all sources like the air around us, with attitude like that of water that takes the shape of the container it is poured into, and it is enthused by the fire of imagination, and at the same time has freedom in the mind, like the space that is all pervading. It is one statement with so much of profound knowledge put into this. Yes? Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, this isn't just, a little bit about our pedagogy. The pedagogy is, concepts, and Gurudev has also compared it with the elements. Yeah, now concepts. Now, for the students to arrive at the concepts, there are two very important activities, which is observation and perception. So unless the children observe, unless they perceive, we all know that arriving at a concept is just not possible, isn't it? So now if you see, even NEP emphasizes a lot on observation and observation skills. So children are born with this particular quality of observation. If we look at children, small, even children, even before they come to their preschool stage, their observation skills are so beautiful. It's a gift that they are born with. And it is our duty, or our, we need to ensure that this observation, the skill of observation, is kept alive in children. So unless they observe and unless they understand through their observation, getting into conceptualization is just not possible. Concepts are not just statements. Concepts are not just a set of words. It is how I have understood it. And there again comes perception. Perception again depends on the experience that each student has had, isn't it? So through activities, through experiential learning, through activities, like these concepts have to be arrived at. And unless these concepts are arrived at younger stage, the pre-primary stage, as they grow up, they need to, infer, they need to analyze, they need to go into research. So how will all that be possible unless their concepts are strong at the foundational stage? So observation, then perception and concepts. So this is where, the role of the facilitator comes in. Yes. So to, solidify their observation and perception into concepts. And Gurudev says, information is like the air everywhere. So all that through activities, they gather a lot of information. And, gathering information is not just limited to the classroom. So they go out with their parents on an outing, it could be to a resort, it could be to, some tourist spot. So all these are various ways through which children gather information. Even see, like the home assignments that we give, the projects that we give, the whatever, group discussions, group activity. The main objective of all this should be to help children gather information, the right information, relevant to space, time, place, and their age. Yes. And, generally, home assignments are, it's misunderstood. It's just written work. It could be discussion, group discussion with their family members, parents, grandparents, learning from their experience. Observation of something is also, home assignment. Yes, like as, Rishikesh was rightly putting it, like interacting with people, going and talking to people who help us. It could be speaking to a vendor, a shopkeeper, to the people who clean, like the Paura Karmikas, talking to them, learning about them. All this could be given as homework. Yes, and attitude. Yeah. So, attitude is something, again, like children are born with the, with observation skills. Attitude is something that they're born with the right attitude. So unless, we ensure that their attitude is kept right, how will learning happen? How will concepts be found? So attitude, again, to ensure that their attitude is right, a lot of stories, like right now CBSE has also introduced storytelling as a pedagogical tool. So storytelling is the base. Learning through stories is the base. Even concepts can be learned through stories. Yes, we can always connect concepts with lots of stories that they learn in their foundational stage. Attitude, again, through right stories. And most importantly, being role models to children. Family members, faculty in the school. So the more role models they have, the more ideal situations that they grow up, they see, their attitude will be right. And imagination. Yes. Albert Einstein has said, logic, can take you from A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. Yeah. Now, imagination and creativity, it's like the fertile land in which innovations and inventions can grow. And that's where, innovations and inventions can take birth from, isn't it? So again, children are born with a wonderful gift of imagination. So combining imagination, integrating art with the concepts, integrating art with their home assignments, integrating art with attitude. On the whole, an integrated learning system with arts, with imagination, with concepts, with attitude, information is what is required for holistic learning. And when children learn like that, integrating all these aspects, learning automatically becomes joyful for them. The more they are involved with all these things, learning really becomes very profound, joyful, and it's something that they will never ever forget. And freedom is the fifth aspect of imagination, which is compared to the space. So, freedom here again is for the children to express themselves, to communicate freely. Unless there is joy in a person, there'll be no freedom from within. Yeah, freedom from within and joy externally are linked, isn't it? So if learning is joyful, there is joy in the children and the freedom from within. Yeah. So these are the 5 concepts through which are 5 aspects of education through which our children have been learning, and it's made learning really joyful, experiential, and value-based. And like the icing on the cake is our vision statement, which says broaden the vision and deepen the roots. Yes. So it's very important for the students to be deep-rooted in our culture, tradition, and our heritage. Yes. At the same time, be totally along with the contemporary world as well. Yes. The next slide, please. So we have a little bit about, foundational literacy and numeracy. See, when we talk about literacy, as Rishikesh ji rightly pointed out, it is not just about learning alphabets, learning grammar, or the technicalities of a particular language. Language learning itself is a process. How do children learn languages? They first listen to the language, they understand, they speak, they read, and then they write. But it's very unfortunate that we get the children to learn the alphabets even before they know how to speak the language, isn't it? So getting the children to first understand the language and speak is very, very, very important. And integrate, especially in the foundational stages, the gross motor skills and the fine motor skills are very important. Yeah. So integrating the gross motor skills and fine motor skills along with the language learning and along with numerical skills is it's a time-tested way of getting the children to learn literacy, numeracy the right way. Yeah. So here we have a picture of a child arranging the seeds. Yeah, capital A and small a. So this is a wonderful fine motor skill for the children, for the child. Yeah, the way they learn. And here you can just see a picture where you've got capital B and small b, and you see a lot of pictures. See, this is how, the children learn every alphabet through a story. So with these pictures in this particular frame, the teachers create a story. See, here you see 2 characters. So they are Basava and Bindu, 2 farmers. So it's all about, and they're also integrating nature studies and EVS along with that. So you see a butterfly, you see a bee, you see some boys, you see banana plant, you've got bat, and these 2 people, Basava and Bindu. And you see birds flying on top. So, the alphabet is not first introduced. These objects are shown to the children first through the story. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're giving the children a very, very rich vocabulary first. Yeah. Because language, as I said, is all about expressing your emotions, expressing your feelings, expressing your thoughts. So language literacy is nothing but expression of life itself. Like Rishikesh ji was rightly pointing out, like 8th grade children will not be able to read a 2nd grade textbook. Yeah. So giving them the vocabulary, giving them that curiosity, igniting that fire, the interest to read is what matters a lot. Yes. The next slide, please. Similarly here, like identifying, like it is all about visuals and identifying the alphabets. Here we've got one more picture, like with all the letters starting from the word E. See here again, this is just a limited vocabulary. Our teachers give them a lot more. Yeah. See here, you see so many pictures related to the letter E. As I said, the alphabet is introduced later, and it is, the vocabulary that comes first. You've got an elephant named Ellie, who's got a bird, who's got an emu for a friend, then an escalator, an engine, and 8. Yeah. The next slide, please. Yeah. See here, the teachers have created, for them to get some blend words. You've got these ice cream sticks, and you've got some alphabets there, like how, like they join those alphabets with these 2-letter words to make new words. This is done by our children. So they have understood what exactly is an alphabet, and they're able to make words through such activities. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, here again, see, they have made words. God and hen and lid, fur, rat. See the visual and their formation of words, they're going together. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, so this is a bus of vowels and consonants. See, most of the time, we just fail to understand what exactly is a vowel, what exactly is a consonant. So through activities, like how it's shown in the picture, so we've got a bus of consonants and a bus of vowels. They'll never ever forget what are vowels and consonants. The next slide, please. Yeah, see now, listening is a very, very important skill. So, like I always keep telling, if everybody were to listen, if they could hone their listening skills, 90% of all the challenges that the world is facing today, at whatever level, it could be at the level of your family, societal level, or even at a global level. Yeah, if everybody were good listeners, 90% of the challenges wouldn't be there. So here, the teacher narrates, gives a few instructions: draw the sun in between the mountains, draw a river in between the trees, draw a bindi in between the eyebrows for the girl. So, this is prepositions and listening skills and drawing skills, everything put together. Yeah. So see, like how many things can be integrated. See here again, it is gross motor skills with numeracy. See, numeracy again, like entire life is integrated with numeracy and numerical skills, right? So here again, it's not just about the numbers that we learn, but the values, the computational skills that we learn right from the beginning. It is not just jumping into the operations, the 4 basic operations directly. There's a lot more of concepts that the children need to learn when it comes to this thing, when it comes to numeracy. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, see here, the children are learning after and before. The concept of after and before. After number and before number. It's such an important thing for them to learn the sequence and the number line and all that. So here, the teachers have come up with, this activity was actually performed in the class where, the butter is churned, they show the milk, the curd, and the churning of the butter, and then melting of the ghee and melting of the butter and converting it into ghee. The next slide, please. Now, see here, they learn the sequence. After, before, what comes after, what comes before. So they're learning the process of making the ghee as well. And that they're getting introduced into the concept of the dairy products. Yes. So the next slide, please. And once they know the concept of after and before, then we could go into the actual before and after numbers. Yeah. The next, this is just counting and relating it with the value. Yeah. Again, counting and relating it with value. And see here, they're learning the previous slide, please. Yeah. See here, they're learning the number 4 with actual objects. See, you can see, like they've got a tiny little chair with 4 legs, a table with 4 legs, and they've got a small little toy car with 4 wheels. So this is how they associate the value with the number. The next slide, please. Addition. See, when they're learning addition, see here, it is also creativity, imagination, and they're learning the concept of addition and also values. Let us plant more trees. Let us add more friends. Let us add, planting trees. So values along with addition. Yes. The next slide, please. Yeah, like there's this concept of tens and ones, which even, like if they have to actually learn the operations, basic operations, addition, subtraction, they can't do without this numerical skill of tens and ones. So again, this is something that really needs to be emphasized. See here, the number that you see with the bundle is 33. You have 3 sets of 10 and 3 ones. 33. So this is how, the teachers actually demonstrated and the children learn the concept of tens and ones experientially. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, now coming back to the before and after number. So after they learned the ghee and the process of making ghee from milk. So, again, you've got lots of such pictures which are stuck on the board using blue tack, and that the children need to just associate it. So this is how they learn practically. Yeah. Next slide, please. That is again another activity for them to learn the after and before number. Yeah, a number is given and then they have to pick up a placard of the before number and place it. The next slide, please, Chinmay. Yeah, a wheel for the after and before numbers. See, like they need to learn it through various activities for the concept to be really solidified. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, now this is how the children learn the concept of before, greater and lesser, less and more. See, there you've got a honeybee in the teacher's hand. So where will the honeybee go? The honeybee will go to the plant with more number of flowers. Yeah, and here there's a monkey. So the monkey will go to the bunch which has more number of bananas. And here there's a girl going to the plate with more number of toffees. So see, you've got so many examples and so many ways of learning the concept of less and more. Yeah. Next. And the concept of subtraction. Children learn it through an act of shopping. So they have simulated a shop. Yeah. So a little bit of paper currency is used and children learn the process of the concept of subtraction. Yeah. And here again, they're learning, yeah. Then this is the previous slide, please. This is, previous slide. See, when they're learning ascending and descending. So, they also learn in their nature studies about the number of legs that animals have. So here again, see, it's just the ascending and descending. The number of legs in different organisms, in different animals. Yeah. The next. Yeah. Big to small. Again, here the concept of fruits have been taken. The bigger fruit, the smaller fruit. Yeah. The next slide, please, Chinmay. Yeah. Again, with, the automobiles. The number of wheels in an automobile. Yeah. The next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. So that's a little bit of peek into, foundational literacy and numeracy as to how it actually needs to be ingrained into the minds of the children. And then next, coming to teacher training. Yeah. If, the pedagogy of this sort has to be imparted to the children, what about the teachers? Because generally it's the conventional way of learning that is popular. See, we have our own teacher training program called Shraddha, which is compulsory for all the teachers to be attended every academic year. So where they have a practical knowledge of the pedagogy through collaborative learning. And also, it's a blend of collaborative learning, pedagogy, and the art of living practices like Sudarshan Kriya, pranayams, meditations. So this particular teacher training program really empowers our teachers to, deliver this pedagogy in a very nice way. And learning experientially, like how NEP has been suggesting. As I said, the almost quarter of the century, this is how our children have been learning in SSRVM. Yeah. So it's a matter of pride for all of us in SSRVM. And, when they learn...
Mamatha ji, sorry to interrupt. We have a question regarding this about how the kind of teacher training programs that we have. So shall we take it up in the question and answer session?
Yeah, we can. And like all the 21st century skills, like creativity, critical learning, yes, collaboration, all these things automatically are developed in the children as they learn through this pedagogy. And I'm sure NEP properly implemented in the right spirit will surely, be a big dawn in the field of education. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mamatha ji. I think, whatever Professor Rishikesh had rightly mentioned in the first step for the implementation of NEP is to showcase the best practices of the best schools. And you have rightly, showcased all the best practices of our school. So I hope for all the viewers there, they'll get an idea of how, we have to change our perspective towards how we engage our students. Thank you so much, Mamatha ji. I will get back to you and with the training programs and other things in the question and answer session. We now move on to the next speaker. We have Dr. Ravi Prasad, who is a distinguished educator and senior lecturer at DIET Shivamogga. His journey began as a dedicated headmaster, progressing to pivotal roles as BO and lecturer. Notably, he contributed significantly to the curriculum development at the national level by being a part of NCRT and played an instrumental role in shaping educational policies at the state level, Karnataka as well. Dr. Ravi Prasad's multifaceted accomplishments include various awards, literary contributions, and innovative initiatives, solidifying his legacy as an exceptional educator. Sir, thank you for joining us today. Over to you for your insights on the implementation of NEP 2020. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Agniji, and thank you, Rishikesh and Mamatha ji, Jain madam. Now, I'll just focus upon the implementation part of NEP, what state has done, and what we can do at our college level or at school level. Sorry that I need to join through mobile because I'm away from the headquarters, far away from the city habitations. If there is any disturbance as far as these things, technicalities are concerned, kindly excuse me. I think I am audible now.
Yes, sir. You're audible. You can. Yes.
Now, I just reiterate what Rishiji told with regard to the implementation part of NEP. NEP is already being implemented. NEP is not just implemented right now, it is implemented 50 years back. What are all those things which are there good in the field? So now the remaining part, which are the which we need to think about, are few things which we can able to implement right now, like 21st century skills are actually 21st century skills are the skills which were there earlier also, but now their importance has become much more as we went for individualistic way of looking at things and living. Now we need to collaborate, and we instead of having focus upon materialistic way of living, now we need to live with the environmental friend within the environment as, and our motto must be environmental friendly living. I think I need to have a. Can I have my screen? Now, can I share my screen? Okay, thank you. Implementing NEP, I will be presenting with you with the achievement portfolio model. I'll be brief. Within 7 minutes, I'll finish my talk so that question and answer can be more. So, can we go to the next slide? Next slide, please. This is the vision of NEP. Just go through that. There are all the words are loaded, and we can just see that some of the many parts within the vision are being implemented at school level. I think as Mamatha madam just showcased what are all the good things which are happening in SSVRM and even in all other schools of our state. Those things are there within the vision also. Now, India-centric education system. Earlier, we used to have such kind of inferiority as far as our own ethos and cultural heritage is concerned. Now we need to focus upon such kind of heritage or such kind of things where we can think we can have pride within. So that kind of education system which will contribute directly into transforming our nation sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. Now, in the classroom practices, can we think of having equitable way of approach where are we using inclusive language? Are we accommodating everyone? Are we allowing every kid to express oneself freely? Are the children writing whatever they think on the wall or in the wall slate? Are the children are making mistakes without any fear? If they are the things are there within the classroom setup or in the school premises, then this part, equitability is on the way. Now we are living in a continuum. We may be of 10 steps, or some of us may are at 15 steps, or some of may are at 60 steps, or some of may are at 90 steps. But if we are on the path, then we are implementing NEP, or we have already implemented NEP. And it again says that vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all. Just I need to focus few points here. We want our country to have to be a knowledge center society. Earlier, before 1800s, our country and China used to produce 50% of world GDP. Now it is less than 0.5% of the world's wealth we have. Why? Because then we used to have, our society used to be the knowledge society. That kind of knowledge society, we need to again re-establish. So high quality education, high quality, there is a disease called quality. In Kannada, we call Gunamattada Jwara. Actually, quality here is if I expect something from myself and I am giving that and I am providing for myself, then that is quality. If it is for the education, then the child is learning what it is, what it has to learn at that particular point of time, at that particular point, at that particular age is quality. So that quality education, if it is there in our education setup, then we are on the path of implementing NEP. Can we go to the next slide and next slide? Not the next slide, then the next one. Now I'll be presenting the achievement portfolio model of implementation part of NEP. Now there are in our state, I mean at national level, but after going through all the provisions NEP, there are 196 tangible points, 196 list, and all those 196 points will be implemented within the with a clear-cut time frame. So now we at our institution level, at our school level, at our management level, we can also set some targets which are tangible, which can be implemented. I'll just go through a few of them in the coming slide. And as far as section 4.2 of NEP is concerned, reducing the curriculum and increasing the academic level, content must be reduced to core essentials. That's what says in the chapter 4.2 of NEP. Now, are we reducing whatever the curricular practices which are there in the class, and are we focusing upon the learning skills which the child is the child need to learn? Learning to learn is an important task which we can facilitate in our classroom, or if our teachers can become mentors and facilitate learning to learn, then lot of these load of curriculum could be reduced, and child will be having its own pace, its own strength, so that it can learn on its him or herself. Can we go to the next slide? There are certain state initiatives. Just I'll mention few of them, which have already been implemented during the last 2 years, and even at school level also we might have been implementing, and they may provide some insight so that we can also implement if not implemented. One is, you might be all aware of with the initiative called Nipun Bharat, National Initiative Proficiency in Reading with Understanding and Numeracy. There are sections which I have just mentioned there. Here, what Rishiji just told, I just reiterate that whatever the edifice we built upon the foundational literacy and numeracy, which will be fruitful even when it is being implemented at the primary level. Otherwise, whatever the structure we want to build will be completely at collapse. Whatever the policies we bring out will be marred if the foundational literacy and numeracy are not achieved. That's why central government has initiated this Nipun, where foundational literacy and numeracy has been taken up in a mission mode by 2025-26. All the children of our nation must have this. What are the parameters for that Nipun? I'll just mention in the next slide. And there is another, just stay in that slide for a minute. I'll just finish that Vidya Pravesh. Vidya Pravesh is another initiative where when the children will come to the school for the grade 1, they will be provided with many activities where the child will feel that it is an extended home, extension of home. Play is a fundamental part of any child's motto, any child's life. The second one is storytelling, which Mamatha ji and Rishi ji told. Actually, storytelling used to be considered as sociological gene. We have biological genes, but there are recently biological sciences have also accepted that there are certain sociological genes like language acquisition, learning in the mother tongue, and storytelling and listening to the stories are the biological genes which cut across all the communities across the world. During Vidya Pravesh, all these the things which I have mentioned are being addressed in Vidya Pravesh, and the other things are also there which are implemented, like tie-based pedagogy, tie-based handbook has also been brought out. Recently, in February 20th, Jadui Pitara launched by central government, where there are 53 kinds of materials which are child-friendly, and there are certain parameters for using those materials from age 3 to age 9. So all these things are being implemented, and they can also be implemented at our school level also. Next, we'll go to the middle stage in the next slide. In the preparatory stage, Nishta is a training which is there available for all the teachers also in the Diksha portal, which we can also go for. For preparatory stage, the training packages are 12 in number. It is called Nishta 3.0. It's a national initiative for school heads and teachers for holistic advancement. So this training, as Rishiji once mentioned, it is in online mode. Teacher can go and have the experience of getting upgraded oneself in one's own pace, and get to all the facets which are required for being a implementer of NEP at the preparatory stage. This is Nishta 3.0. And the other provisions like backless day or Sambhrama Shanivara in Karnataka, which is called, is also implemented for reducing the burden of the children of carrying the school bag, and at the same time making the school as making the classroom as joyful as possible. For this, backless day or Sambhrama Shanivara is being implemented. And holistic progress report, progress card, which is there in section 4.35, the state is also has already come out with that kind of descriptive progress of the children, which will be implemented this year. And as you know, that National Curriculum Framework School Education, the draft is already out last month, which mentioned about classroom transactions comprehensively. So next we'll go for the middle stage. There, at the middle stage, certain provisions like Nishta 1.0, which is dedicated for those teachers who are handling the classes from grade 6 to grade 8. There is another provision called SAFAL, Structured Assessment for Analyzing Learning, which will be a part of another big thing called PARAKH, which is also there in section 4.35 of NEP, which mentions about performance analysis review for the holistic learning of the child, within which there is a small part is SAFAL, where structured assessment will be is taking place for analyzing learning of the child, and formative assessment, where each child is being marked, is being diagnostically looked at, so that the pace and the learning level as well as the way the child learns is being understood by the teacher. Actually, here the assessment tool is used as a reflective tool for the teacher, for the management, as well as for the parents. So kindly, we need to have such kind of focus whenever we mention about assessment. It is always the reflective tool for the parent, for the teacher, for the HM or the principal, or for the management. And all other projects. Hello.
Sorry to intervene. You rightly mentioned about how all three stakeholders have to join together. And due to time constraint, could you kindly proceed talking about the challenges that we face in implementing?
Straight away, I'll go to the challenges which we are facing straight. And during the question answer, yes. So yes. There are certain challenges. Like no, till now we have not attempted at national level or at the state level as a policy. We have not attempted for providing institutional setup for ECCE. That means early child care education, where this is a big challenge, and all Anganwadi teachers in our country needed to be provided with the special pedagogical approaches which are need to be. That's another challenge. The second challenge is section 4.11 of NEP, providing education in mother tongue or the home language of the children. For example, in Bangalore itself, a survey has been conducted the last year where there are 358 mother tongues are home languages. From that background, the children are coming to the school. How to cater to the need of those children? Or in our Shivamogga, we have conducted survey of where the whole village, we couldn't go for the home language of many children. We just identified the pockets of the villages where the whole village is speaking one language. We have 16 languages in Shivamogga: Hasala, Kodava, Kunubi, like this, and Samskrita. There is a Samskrita grama in near Shivamogga, Mattur. So like this, there are 16 languages. That is another challenge. And the choices at secondary level is another challenge. No, at the grade 9, children need to be exposed for vocational education, where 2 vocations are to be taken up by those children. Now, one is global and the other one is local. How to implement it, how to integrate with the curriculum, that is another challenge which I have. And the multidisciplinary approach. So long, even in Finland, it has they tried to implement multidisciplinary as well as phenomena-based teaching. But again, they reverted back last year, during 2016 and 17, with regard to the challenges in implementing multidisciplinary approach in classroom processes. So this is another challenge which we are facing. And the other important challenge is digital divide. It may not be for SSVRM, but for all other schools which are there in the remote villages of our country, where a lot of provisions are there in NEP to implement through digitalization that is there in 21st century skills also. Section 4.46 of NEP dreams about implementing digital education in classroom. But there is a digital divide. There are only hardly 16% of the population of our country have internet access, and 41% of our country have unhandled electrical supply of villages. Now, the other villages are not connected with. So this is the challenge which we have. But these challenges could be addressed by other modes also, for which there are answers. So these are all sort of challenges which we have right now. And at the school level, what are all the things we can do? At SSVRM, you can very easily implement few provisions of it. But you may also face, as far as multidisciplinary approach is concerned, and the choices which state has to take for decide, and we need to implement at the classroom level. I'll just focus upon the next slide for a few points. There are 2 points there, and I'll close my talk. At management level, what we can do as a principal, first, let our teachers get the hands-on experiences, and then let there be incubation time for our teachers so that they can experiment with the within their classroom setup and in classroom transaction. That incubation time is incubation for excellence. Normally, what we do while implementing, as we are focused much upon implementation part of NEP, we don't give much focus upon thinking part. The teacher may be sitting silently focusing upon something, and we may be thinking that that person may be wasting time. No, that's not the case. There may be a part where reflection might be taking place. And the second part is with regard to the mentorship. Lot of mentorship is required. Patience is required from management. So the action research, reflective practices, and the case studies, addressing those cases can be taken up at the class level, where mentorship and mentee with senior and junior teacher, there is nothing like senior with regard to the experience, but with regard to the classroom practice and the reflection part. So with regard, not with the age or the experience. So if these things are taken care of at management level, definitely we can implement NEP at school level and go for having fun and joy and focus, go for foundational literacy and numeracy as well. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. We will be open for the.
Thank you, Ariji, for such a detailed and giving us given us a broader perspective of NEP. Now, when we look at the NEP manual, it goes on for 60 pages, 4 parts, and 27 chapters. So, NEP as such as a topic, if you think we can go on and on. And, the more we talk, the more, information that we will be able to dwell into. So due to time constraint, I guess we will move on, inviting our trustee. But I would like to highlight few questions that we have received from various principals across the country. And what we'll do is we'll put those questions in the group for the speakers to respond, and then we shall get back to you with the responses. I'll quickly highlight the questions that we have received. One is on vocational education. That is, implementing effective internships require collaboration between schools, industries, and students. The question is, how can schools establish strong partnership with local industries to offer meaningful and relevant internship opportunities? I think, for this, Professor Rishikesh could respond in the group, and that shall be posted in the Facebook comment or in all other social media platforms. And one question that has been asked by several principals is about the three language policy of NEP 2020. So to be specific, the question that we have received from one of our principals named Anand, he asked, NEP suggests use of local language or mother tongue till primary level. If teachers do not know the local language, what to do? Or even if teachers know it, to what extent it should be used in an English medium school? So I think that's an interesting question. And I guess, I request the speakers to respond to those questions in the WhatsApp group, and we shall get back with them with the responses. Moving on, we have our trustee, Srimati Jaina Desai. A brief intro about her. Srimati Jaina Desai, who is a lawyer by education, has dedicated her life for over 2 decades to the cause of the art of living, a deep believer in the role of education, human values, and the inner peace in solving societal conflicts. Jaina ji is a senior international faculty of the art of living. Currently, she serves as a trustee for Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandir Trust. She has headed the Secretariat of Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar with a special focus on international affairs and digital media communication for 13 years, having a vast experience in the area of international relations. She has represented the art of living and the International Association for Human Values at several forums globally, including Harvard University. Ma'am, we are eager to listen to your insights. We are all ears. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Agniji. And in a morning filled with extremely, I would say, educational and very important insights overall for our country and for education for young people and for teachers. I would just like to keep my remarks very brief, because we've had our eminent speakers, Professor Rishikesh, we've had Mamatha Ravi Prakash ji, and we've had Dr. Ravi Prakash, who have really delved deep into the various aspects of the NEP and the challenges that we definitely face in our country in implementing it. The NEP, as we all know, it has been an extremely well thought out, well drafted document, which aims to harness the potential of one of the youngest countries in the world, which is India, and perhaps today one of India having the largest population in the world. Nevertheless, we all understand that a document on paper is wonderful as it is on paper, but to implement it, there are always challenges. And there are various goals that we need to come together as an educational community to achieve, so that we are able to have a complete success in this. I would like to first begin with a story, actually, that I like to share, of a young man in 1981 who noticed a small group of children playing near some construction rubble on the outskirts of Bangalore. These children looked very happy and joyful, but obviously they require a formal setup for education. And that's when Gurudev, who was the young man then, started our first educational initiative, which was the free school. Over the years, we have expanded into over 1,000 plus free schools across the country. We are today at over 100 plus paid educational institutions including a university of high ranking, which is Sri Sri University. Gurudev often says that education is a vehicle for transformation or metamorphosis of the self and for the growth of the society and the community at large. We all know that the NEP has emphasized on human values, the development of a scientific temper. One of the things that are said in our ancient scriptures is that Vismaya Yoga Bhumika, that is curiosity or wonder, is the preface of yoga. And that itself is in fact the preface of education overall. And that is something that we need to develop and that we need to emphasize on in our teaching and learning methodologies. Gurudev has also often spoken of how a shift is from what to learn to how to learn. The NEP focuses on emerging talents, hoping to recognize the uniqueness of each child and to hone that unique talent, to culture, behavior, attitude, and perception, a respect for diversity, equity, and inclusion, to ensure universal access to education, to focus on critical thinking, and an emphasis on the physical and mental well-being of the child. You know, I was delighted to hear from many of you speakers that it is already being implemented, perhaps not under the structure of the NEP, but many of the ideas of the NEP are already being implemented across many schools and higher educational institutions in our country. One of the main things that we aim as a society, as India, is to have a population that is well educated, that can contribute to the country's growth and development, to have citizens that are global citizens, yet deeply rooted in our ancient wisdom, along with becoming happier and more joyful people. The purpose of human life is finally the expansion of joy and happiness, whatever that we do. So we all understand that the NEP has very, very, I would say, very immense challenges for the educational community to be able to implement the NEP. But I would say that with great minds like all of you coming together, we will be able to move forward in this implementation. The right seeds are definitely being planted, and the NEP, I am very certain, will realize the dream of visionary educationists and of our spiritual leaders as well. So on this short note, I'd like to end. And once again, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to each of you for participating in this. And I'd like to invite you to join our team, perhaps as advisors or as counselors, if you all would be willing to do so. Thank you very much. And I look forward to interacting with all of you in the future as well.
Thank you, ma'am. With the blessings of Gurudev and the guidance of great minds like our speakers, and I'm sure we at SSRVM shall set an example for the rest of the schools in implementing NEP and be the forerunners. Thank you, ma'am. And I would like to thank the team and the Deputy Director of DIET, Shivamogga, who have joined us today out of interest. Thank you very much for joining us today. As we bring the session to a close, I want to express my gratitude and sincere appreciation to each participant. The thought-provoking discussions and valuable insights shared by the esteemed speakers have illuminated the path forward for education transformation. This collaborative platform has successfully fostered a deeper understanding of the NEP's implications and applications. Your commitment to this discourse reaffirms our collective dedication to advancing education. Let us carry forward together such enriching conversation in the days ahead and translate them into impactful actions. Heartfelt thanks to all for making this series a resounding success. Thank you, everyone, and Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Jaina ji. Thank you, eminent speakers.
Thank you.
May I request if speakers can just stay back after we stop the live? If you can just stay back for a minute, please.
Thank you.